Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kate, and here on my channel I talk about true crime, mysteries, and things that interest me. But it is mostly true crime. Please remember to show your support by liking this video, subscribing to my channel, and hitting that notification bell so you never miss out on any of my future videos. Thank you for being here today. It means the world to me that you're even sitting there watching. Please make sure to get cozy, grab some snacks, and let's dive into another true crime story. So this one, it's gonna make your blood boil, honestly. Cassie Bjorg, also known as Cassandra, was someone who loved adventure, and she often did things that were considered risky. She frequently left her home and had been in trouble with the police quite a few times before. She lived with her mum, whose name was Amanda, in a place called Duluth, which is located in the state of Georgia. Cassie's mum was really worried about her daughter because her daughter's behavior was terrible. She was acting out really badly, like in scary ways. Cassie was doing things she shouldn't have been doing, like drinking alcohol, even though she was underage, smoking, she was stealing. She was stealing from everyone, her family, from stores, anything. And she was missing school. Cassie even got into a fight with someone at home. Physical fight. Her mum felt like she couldn't control her daughter's behavior. Even though she tried to, set boundaries and whatnot, her daughter would push harder. She didn't know what to do anymore. And we don't actually know much about Cassie's dad, except that he wasn't around. Amanda was finding it really difficult to raise her daughter on her own because her dad wasn't in the picture to help her. She felt like she was lacking the support that she desperately needed to provide the best possible upbringing for her child. She really wanted to give Cassie an amazing childhood, but Cassie it just seemed like she didn't want anyone to be there for her. In her time of need, Amanda actually turned to her own parents, Wendy and Randall. She asked them for help. Recognizing the challenges that their daughter Amanda was facing whilst raising her daughter alone, the grandparents were more than willing to lend a helping hand and provide the necessary support to ensure that their granddaughter had the best possible upbringing. So Cassie's behavior had been causing a lot of concern for her entire family, not just her mum. And everyone in this family were super worried about her. So after really careful consideration, lots of talks, her grandparents, they made the tough decision to file for custody of their granddaughter in 2016. This meant that Cassie would have to leave her hometown and move to Lawrenceville. It's a neighboring town, and so she would be moving to go be with her grandparents. Although the decision was made with Cassie's best interest in mind, she was quite upset about having to leave her hometown and having to start over again. Everyone in Wendy and Randall's neighborhood thought that they were super nice, like really, really nice. They were really decent people. They were always helping out and everybody respected them a lot. You'd think that Cassie, should be a little bit more grateful or happy to be with such awesome grandparents, but no, she was not happy at all. And from the moment Cassie moved in with her grandparents, things were rocky. She was constantly picking fights, and I know what that's like, to have a teenager picking fights. It's horrible. Cassie was rebellious and she refused to follow the rules or engage with them. She had a habit of running away, like I said before. So she kept running away. She kept skipping school, which only added to the tension in the house. And also their grandparents, they're a bit older now. And when she was home, things were far from peaceful. There were loud arguments. Neighbors could hear screaming fights erupting night after night, making it clear that there was serious conflict between Cassie and her grandparents. There was an incident where Wendy had to call the police because Cassie had attempted to physically assault her. It was reported that Cassie had thrown a glass of water at Wendy and it only narrowly missed her head. Like, that could have been really bad, because remember, they're older, they're grandparents. Wendy didn't press charges though, and Cassie continued to get worse. Over the next year, the police were contacted over 30 times. This was by Cassie's grandparents and also neighbors. Everyone could hear what was going on in that house. This kid was out of control. Cassie's grandparents worked tirelessly to create a warm and nurturing environment for their granddaughter, knowing that she did have struggles, and she had struggled quite severely. There was something going on with her. We don't know what. They were mindful of the emotional turmoil that Cassie had experienced in the past, and they were determined to provide her with a consistent and supported home life. But Cassie, she didn't want to know. Their efforts were rooted in a deep understanding of Cassie's needs, and they made it their mission to provide her with a sense of safety, stability, and love. But Cassie, she didn't want their love. She didn't want their support. She didn't want to be there. She didn't want to be anywhere like with family. She just wanted to be on her own. Despite the unwavering love and support that Wendy and Randall were giving her, she could not care less about them. In fact, her hatred towards them had only grown more intense since she had arrived. As they would eventually come to learn, Cassie's troubles were not just mere teenage angst or mood swings. In reality, they were much darker and more sinister in nature, and she would stop at absolutely nothing to get what she wanted, no matter what the consequences were. So, on April the 1st, 2017, Cassie ran away from home again, and Wendy posted on Facebook asking if anybody had seen her granddaughter. She did that quite often. Whenever Cassie ran away, she'd go on Facebook and post. This was actually really freaking Wendy out, because Cassie wasn't at home. She didn't know where she was. She was trouble, but they really did care about her. Then Wendy kind of dropped off the face of the planet. She just, there was radio silence. Nobody had heard from her. And as days went by without any response from Wendy, her loved ones started to get really, really concerned. They knew something was wrong, because it was out of character for her to just go completely silent. She was always in contact with her friends and her family. She was a loved member of this community. They saw her often. Her phone calls and messages were going unanswered, leaving her family and friends feeling hopeless and worried. After several days of trying to get in touch with her, with absolutely no luck, some of her neighbors decided to take action, and they called the police. They requested a wellness check to make sure that everything was okay over at Wendy's house. So the police, they went over to Wendy and Randall's house, but nobody answered the door. So it just seemed like no one was home. They thought that maybe they should come back later to check again, since they didn't want to assume anything bad had happened. I mean, this place, Lawrenceville, it's a small town, so they didn't think anything awful could have occurred. It's like a nice little town. So the police, they went to check on the family several times over the next few days, but every time they went over, nobody seemed to be home. But then, on April 8th, they got a call about a domestic assault. This seemed unrelated at the time. This was at a completely different house. So when they got there, they found that 2 people had been beaten up real bad and were injured, obviously, and they had been robbed. They were a lady called Mindy and her boyfriend. Mindy told the police that they had come home early from work or a trip, I can't remember which, and when they came home, they found that their house had been burglarized. It had been broken into and trashed. So who did it, you ask? Well, it turned out to be her own 19-year-old brother Johnny and his girlfriend. And the twist, the girlfriend was none other than Cassie. According to Mindy's statement, she alleged that her and her boyfriend were attacked by 2 assailants wielding pepper spray and baseball bats. Johnny, her own brother, attacked her. That's horrible. Unfortunately, by the time the victim was able to alert the authorities, the suspects, Cassie and Johnny, had fled the scene. Terrible, Terrible. Cassie and Johnny, they both had prior criminal records. They were just really bad kids. They're just bad kids. They're like robbing people and beating people up, just being terrible. So the police, they went to Cassie's house to have a chat with her about this. And when they arrived, they were filled with unease. The house was eerily quiet, and as they approached the door, a putrid smell hit them like a wall. They had no choice but to forcefully enter the home, hoping to find some answers. It was that smell of decomposition, a dead body, where our body, like, we know that smell, even if we haven't smelt it before, we know. And as they're entering the house, it just grew worse and worse. As they walked into the bedroom, they discovered a heartbreaking sight. Wendy and Randall were laying lifeless on the floor, leaving police with the feeling of immense sadness and tragedy. They had been viciously attacked. They had been stabbed multiple times and had blunt force trauma to their heads. These are grandparents. This is horrible. The police jumped straight into action and put together a team to hunt down the killers. They had a pretty good idea of who it probably is. Everyone in the small town found out about the messed up things Cassie and Johnny did pretty quickly, but the cops were on it and they found them in no time. Cassie and Johnny were actually staying at one of Cassie's friend's apartments. Apparently this friend didn't actually know about this murder and the attack on Johnny's sister and her boyfriend, but the police, they figured out where they were. Like, they figured it out really quick. This is a small town. People talk. So they went over, the police did, and after some intense arguing, there was a standoff, the police were able to finally get inside. They were caught off guard though. There was Cassie and Johnny, they were sprawled out on the floor. They had tried to take their own lives. They had self-inflicted wounds. The emergency services arrived promptly and transported them to the hospital. Once they were there, the doctors were able to treat their wounds and stabilize their conditions. So following their treatment, after, some time in the hospital, they went to the county jail where they were held for questioning. During the interrogation, it became really clear that tensions were high between Cassie and Johnny. They were basically turning against each other. Each of them was quick to accuse the other, and it seemed that they were both eager to shift the blame onto the other party. The investigators continued to probe and dig deeper, hoping they would break. So Cassie and Johnny were both saying that it was the other one who talked them into beating up Johnny's sister and her boyfriend, and also killing Wendy and Randall. But in the end, Cassie admitted to everything, and she told detectives exactly what happened that night. She said that in the middle of the night, her and Johnny pulled their car over outside her grandparents' house. The darkness enveloped the house and there was no sign of movement from inside. Her grandparents had gone to bed. Wendy and Randall had already retired for the night. They were tired, they're getting older, and they were sound asleep in their cozy master bedroom, unaware of the events that were about to unfold. Cassie and Johnny, they were armed with a tire iron, a baseball bat, a hammer, duct tape, and a whole lot of butcher knives. And they silently made their way into the house. Their intentions were very clear, and the array of dangerous tools that they carried suggested they were not there for a friendly visit. They were there to hurt these people. They're horrible, honestly. This is Cassie's grandparents. They went into the master bedroom and they attacked Wendy and Randall viciously. Following the murders, they boarded up the windows and the doors. Then, because they are disgusting pieces of crap, they ordered takeaways. So they went downstairs and they ordered some takeaways. And as they waited for their meal to arrive, they made a decision that would shock most people. They invited a group of friends over for a party. Yeah, the gathering, it was lively. There was laughter, there was music, but it was difficult to ignore the fact that the bodies of Cassie's grandparents were upstairs. Cassie and Johnny, like, that must have played on their minds, right? Or did they just not care? They continued to carry out their daily routines as if nothing had happened, despite the fact that the lifeless bodies of Cassie's grandparents were just a few feet away. This peculiar behavior persisted for several days until eventually the authorities were notified and the truth was uncovered. Cassie did not care. She did not give a damn that she killed her grandparents, who actually deeply loved her. She was as cold as ice. Cassie also told police that her and Johnny had also planned to kill his parents. They were on a rampage. They had apparently made their way to Johnny's parents' house with the intention of carrying out the same violent and malicious act as the previous night on her grandparents. However, just before they attempted to go into the house, Johnny noticed that there was a couple of cars in the driveway that he didn't recognize, so he called the thing off. So Cassie and Johnny also had some disturbing discussions about the possibility of killing Cassie's mum, Amanda. Luckily, Mindy and her boyfriend survived their attacks, and Amanda was never attacked. In the end, Cassie and Johnny, they were offered a plea deal after they finally agreed to confess, and they worked with the police. Johnny was able to avoid a death sentence due to the fact that his case didn't proceed to trial. He would have likely got the death sentence because he was over 18 rather than face trial. Johnny and Cassie, they pleaded guilty to a number of charges, including theft and aggravated assault, as well as the murders of Wendy and Randall. The charges against them really serious, and the evidence was substantial, making a guilty verdict and a harsh sentence likely. So by pleading guilty, they hoped to receive a more lenient punishment. So basically these two were sentenced to life behind bars, but they might be able to get out on parole after a whopping 60 years. Sorry, not 16, 60 years. So most of their lives. They'll be like 80. And if that wasn't enough, they also got another sentence of 21 years to serve at the same time as their life sentence. Yeah, they're not getting out. During the trial, one of them, Johnny, decided to talk to the judge. He started to have a bit of a heart, apparently. He said, so this is what he said, "I know what I have done is evil and is deserving of hellfire. I would like to express my deepest apologies. I am so sorry for the pain and the grief I've caused all of you. It's impossible to ignore the pain and sorrow caused by the sudden and violent death of Wendy and Randall, a couple who were loved by so many. The senseless act that took their lives it's just left such a profound impact on everyone who knew them. And the world is now a darker place without their light. They were such lovely people. Wendy and Randall were two remarkable individuals who brought joy and happiness into the lives of so many people around them. And their loss is a tragedy. What a sad, sad story. What do you guys think about this case? It's horrible. Bloody Cassie and Johnny. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section below. And please don't forget to hit the like button, turn on the notifications button, and subscribe for more of my videos. Thank you for taking the time to watch my video. It means the absolute world to me. Thank you so much, guys. And have a great day. I will talk to you later. Bye.